Hey, Russ. Hey, guys.
Hey, Tim.
Hey, Tim.
Alrighty. All right, cool. How's everyone going? We're gonna get started here. We're gonna do another quick, more of a quick focus meeting this week. So we're gonna start off with any just general FAQ, Q&A. If anybody has anything that they'd like to get a quick answer for, we can go over that first, and then we'll go over into some more stuff in a little bit. No, nothing. All right.
I mean, yeah, just didn't want to be the guy again who's starting. Just something I noticed is the when you set the temperature, there was like a issue which you guys fixed pretty quickly last week. But the numeric value field, is that gone or is it just on my side? Because what I thought initially it was there when I dragged the pointer some, and then to see like 0 point whatever, right?
Yeah, let me double check. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I know we had to. Gotcha.
I mean, the thing is, when I right click inspect element, I see that what my value is, right? That's my workaround now to be like accurate, to set it to like whatever 0.4 or something, right? But it would be just very, very convenient. I mean, I know like the scale thing is a user experience thing, but as an engineer, I'm kind of keen to have like a numeric value to be exact all the time.
For sure. Yeah, we'll definitely get that added.
Okay, cool, thanks. And yes, since I'm talking already, I was the guy mentioning the German documentation last week, so I just posted that.
Yes, thank you for sending that over. We'll definitely get that we'll get that updated. And you mentioned that you wanted the API
Yeah,
uh
just keep it in English.
keep that in
The
English.
thing is, I'd rather have the very precise, correct version of the API description, and developers, even in Germany, they talk English, at least understanding it properly. It was just more like the marketeer guys who maybe want to have a look in like the general stuff. So it's
Yeah,
totally fine to have the API stuff in
cool. Yeah. And that's I mean that's kind of been our philosophy in general now moving forward as everyone like it's in English. Like
I mean, totally.
everything works in all these languages, but yeah, English is definitely but yes, thank you for sending that. So we'll get that updated.
And I'm assuming to have like a CMS system that everyone can change their white label thing is pretty horrible for you guys to develop, and it's not bringing the technology further. So I do understand that as well. So if it is there, it's set in stone, so that's fine.
Yeah.
And I mean, what I tried, you can like go crazy with basic system prompts, like the first paragraph English, the second one German, the third one Spanish, and it works perfectly fine. So
Yeah, we kind of shot ourselves in the foot a little bit by trying to offer like 10 languages from the start, but this
Yeah.
is what we realized like, oh yeah, this is why GHL only offers Spanish as their alternative language.
that makes sense.
So it makes a lot of sense, but I mean, well, most people aren't using other languages in general, so that's kind of
Mm.
why we fell behind in that case. So it's helpful for someone like yourself to help us with those translations.
I mean,
No, that
it just randomly popped up because my browser and my MacBook is in English anyway, so I didn't even notice it. But my business partner, he has his Chrome in German, and it was like, huh, that's
Hmm.
odd. And that's how we actually saw that. And most likely our clients will have it
Yeah.
set in German as well.
yeah, I think in the next couple of years, like that will not be necessary because you can see easily that the browsers can, Chat
Yeah,
GPT can easily translate. It can do a much better job than Google does now whenever you say translate. So, but we do have
absolutely.
that capability in place. So in the future, as we continue to scale, it will be possible for us to support those languages better.
Yeah, and I mean, as long as the chatbot talks whatever language, that's fine, right? So
Hmm.
Exactly. That is key.
I mean, theoretically, you could sell the solution with a prerequisite that it is, as you mentioned, GHL, it's only English and that's it. Like,
So much of what we realized talking with agency owners and business owners a lot, it's about setting the right precedent for what this stuff, and this kind of brings back to a conversation that we've talked about in the past about how you can kind of organize the structure of these personalized demos and sales calls that you provide to businesses in the sense that, hey, this stuff is great, but it's not the end all be all. It can't do everything that you want it to do right now as it stands today. We've been getting a lot of tickets being submitted of like, oh, could you connect this with this to be able to do this with that? And it's like, well, Yeah, eventually, but that also requires us to be able to, building everything out for that specific solution, which is one of those things that we've kind of pushed back against. We don't want to become that all-in-one GHL, crazy
Mm.
all-in-one thing. We want to be very good at the AI piece within that kind of greater infrastructure.
Yeah, which totally makes sense. Yeah, rather be good at one thing than to like.
Exactly. Yeah. Cool. Any other questions anybody has?
Mitchell, you're
Mitch, you're
muted.
muted.
I got it now. No, I said, did you see my request to integrate Stammer with Google Analytics?
hmm
Yeah, I think it's going to provide tremendous value. That's not one of those specialized, just for one person kind of thing.
Yeah,
'Cause-
we implemented we added a ticket a while back that will allow you to there basically be like a header section where you can drop a G tag or a metapixel code inside that tab where it then can be able to see that action on that page. We won't probably be making a direct integration with Google Analytics right off the bat.
Yeah, because I had a client wanting to know can you attribute actions to the chatbot? That way they could know whether or not it was working, essentially.
Yep. Yep. So right now it would be it'd have to be done through some sort of tagging system. Like, the lead comes in and when that comes in from a certain source, then you're tagging it with that specific channel that it came in from, which could be the chatbot. And then we use a platform called Matomo
Yeah.
for a lot of things.
Yeah, that's the competitor of Google Analytics. Sure.
Yeah, yeah. So the goal eventually would be able to have you connect with something like that, Google Analytics, within that chatbot to be able to pull all of that traffic data.
Gotcha. But that's still down the road, apparently.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
and to be clear, because hold on, there is one thing I want to say. Allowing like you to run JavaScript, your own custom JavaScript, essentially on your white label dashboard, that's easy, right? That in theory we could easily do, and that's what Google Analytics is. To be clear, is a JavaScript library that starts tracking this stuff on the front end. Allowing that to then work through the chatbot that is iframed in gets super complex, and I'm not sure how well that would work, but we will have to see. There may be options there.
Thanks.
No problem. And worst case, we can always build our own analytics, right? So that is one direction we're definitely going in the future is, we can detect these things when someone's interacting with the chatbot. So maybe we can have it on the back end, an option to send that data as needed to another third party like Google Analytics or whoever.
That would be fabulous.
yeah, that could work.
It's just we have to maintain the speed of our front end system. And I don't know if we want to load the entire Google Analytics library dynamically. And then there's the fact that it's in an iframe, right? It's actually running literally on our domain. So from a technical perspective, I'd have to think about that. But yeah, it's a great point. And we need to get those analytics ASAP. Agreed.
Well, it's just that as I'm talking to people, you hear what their concerns are. And that was one of the first things that I heard from a guy was like, well, can you track the usage of the chatbot? And I said to him, I said, well, I don't think right now, but I know these guys are building out the chatbot. And so it's probably going to be down the road.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, a chatbot can literally become an analytics driver almost. Like if you use some of the more, traditional chatbot platforms, they have a lot of analytics that you see there that pop up. So that is where we're attempting to go in the future.
Cool. Anybody else have questions?
There was this one thing, Tim, we too had a conversation on Discord regarding resources that are behind the login wall. And so I said, maybe I bring it up to Dave. That's fine.
Yeah, we can talk about that quickly. So the ability for the bot to log in to a wall through a wall is certainly not going to happen. But if they have a way to, we'd have to understand their systems more, right? And this is where this becomes more of an engagement with the customer. What I would typically do is, gauge their interest. I mean, if they want something custom, that can certainly be done, but that will cost money, of course. Or if they have an existing system that they can, you have to talk to someone who knows some basics about what they're doing there. This is a PDF. It wouldn't be hard in theory for us to connect through another system. I don't know, like Dropbox or SharePoint, and access that thing periodically
Mm.
in order to keep the data updated. That being said, that code has not been written to do that. So we would have to, you would have to be sure. Basically, you don't want to write code that customers of yours and ours, which are you guys, are not going to pay for and find value in. So you're going to have to find some way to really prioritize and see if they're really interested in this feature, or are they just giving you the runaround? Because customers, especially in the enterprise market, would often, suggest to me crazy features, like, oh, if you just did this, we'll sign up. And that really wasn't the case. What they were really saying is, your product is not that valuable to us, and we want to get off this call, so we'll say whatever it takes to get off the call, basically. Anyway, basically, you have to find a way to get that customer to fork over some piece of value, right? Whether it's their continued time and meeting with you, or literally in some cases money, or like I've had customers that were, they were serious. They really want an integration in order to use this product I was working on. So they literally would pay 30, 40, 50K to get that done, because they don't care, right? This is part of a major effort that someone's leading at their company. They don't care how much they drop on it. So that is what I was going to say kind of in that video, is you got to gauge the interest. Is this really something that's going to cause them to convert and they need it? Or in the meantime, can they do a more manual process, validate that it works like they're expected, and then later on, as we start building more integrations to some of these systems, then it can fulfill that need. So that's kind of my thoughts.
Yeah, so maybe I just tell you guys all the use case we're talking about. So it was about a company who is building concrete stuff. It's like the building big office buildings and stuff like this, right? And there are like a huge library of things they have to consider when building something. And the idea was to build a chatbot that's kind of like a bot that basically helps an engineer who is building like construction stuff, and he asked him to, what's the requirement for whatever, how high need the railing to be on a staircase, or what's this and that, right? It's kind of like a complex search engine, to use the bot as a search engine through document that's able to combine different norms and requirements basically for building stuff, right? Which works pretty fine, actually. But the thing is, when stuff gets updated, and usually that's behind the login, so you can manually download and import it. But I just see if there is any other issue. Maybe they have an API or something where you can like access stuff and get it via text, because that's what the chatbot anyway consumes. It doesn't matter if it is with pictures and stuff, because it consumes the text anyway. So maybe that's something I could do, and like do like some kind of small integration or something and host it on my own.
Yeah, agreed. And these are the part, we had to connect all these systems together throughout this industry. And so this is a real problem everywhere. They have a PDF. That's not ideal. How do we change their processes to make it in a place where anyone can access it? Like, we'll have to see how this goes.
And if I have like the thing was, Germany and Austria is again different. There's like different websites scraping the data off and so on. So when I have like a proper use case, and maybe I just develop integration, let's see, and then connect it with the API and let you guys know. But I just need to be 100% clear what the real use case was, because it was kind of a like pre-sales conversation. We checked what's possible and what's not. So again,
sounds good.
If it is a real use case, then I'll just let you guys know again, then we can talk about that. Let's do
Yeah,
that.
maybe, exactly. And as I think about this, maybe your approach could be to, get a PDF of theirs or something, create an example, right? Sell them on that example, and then say, hey, if you guys want to really go this route, it's going to require some, engagement of some kind with my dev team, which is us, right? Stammer, and they don't have to know it's Stammer, but you could say, it's going to cost some money to get this integration done. But once it's done, that's it. I mean, this is going to be driving the education of all your people and stuff like that. So it could be a real value add for them.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, and again, as it is in software engineering, if the client throws in big money, more stuff is possible, right?
Yeah, anything is possible in theory. Yeah, exactly.
I'll just add to that. I've been doing some work with a client to try and pull information from a database, again behind a password protected area. So I've done a few iterations of this bot now, and I've managed now to get it to interrogate a database, but I've had to load the database into the knowledge base in a different way, and almost ignore the website bit. So I've had to sort of manually bring stuff in. And then our next step, as Tim was sort of suggesting there, will be to talk to them about then how we hook it up to their, in this case, their SharePoint interface, so that we can actually put embedded links into that. So at the moment we can pull every document that they have listed in a resources library, but we can't yet link to those. So we can,
Okay.
we're sort of halfway there, and we're doing that behind a firewall. So that's working so far.
I mean, if the client is big enough and the organization is providing the information behind the password protected area, maybe there's some things they are keen to do like for you as well, right? That's something I haven't even considered yet. It was just more on our side, basically, what's technically possible and what not.
But if you want to connect, we can happily share some notes if you want.
Absolutely, it would be awesome.
I'll put my LinkedIn.
And Tim Bennett, by the way, I did see your email last week, just haven't had a chance to respond because we've been going through a crunch time.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. As I say, I've been doing some testing. It seems to be working, but it's like I do need to sort of touch base with you again about how we do the next bit of tech. So
Got it. Makes sense. Okay, cool.
Working off of that, how did your personalized demos go at the luncheon?
that's this week.
Oh, it's this week. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in fact, I'm not going to be able to make Thursday's call because I'll be in that environment.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. So, but will there be a recording for the agency call in the?
Yes, and I'm probably gonna do it on upload it to like a Loom. So, and this is actually a good segue. I'll give you guys a little preview of what Thursday's meeting for subscribers is gonna be. So this is the content version of what Tim Bennett has been basically using or on how he's generating leads, booking appointments, using a personalized demo to get that aha moment, and then going for the sale. There's a lot of things like within this structure that are maybe a little confusing or not so clear on. So I went ahead and built out the rest of it using some of the past information with the social funnel, how to close on these sales meetings, what type of content to actually create, and how to set yourself up as the authority figure. Examples of some content. This is one of those LinkedIn posts that you said that did really well. Some examples of some other guys that are using the Stammer platform. So that whole concept idea is what we're gonna kind of go in depth on. And I realized that I already did this for a whole group of folks in Nashville, where they paid a bunch of money. So we're gonna just do this one for free, and we're gonna have like a cool conversation. And by the end of it, everyone should be able to leave with like a value ladder, an offer, more clear identification on how to run your sales meetings and all that good stuff. And we'll have some guests in there as well. So looking forward to that. But aside from that, Tim, have you had any other good conversations, sales conversations this week?
Yeah, a few online actually. It'd be more about collecting the leads that I've got now and making those work and then feeding back to the client. So you know what it's like doing that with agency life as well. It's good, but definitely the noise you make in your social channel definitely raise your profile, which creates interest and makes that initial conversation much easier.
Sorry. Hey, Ross. Yeah, just question for you, Tim, and Toby. Also, a question for you. Toby, where did the cement company come from? Just from the top of funnel, and then Tim, it sounds like you're doing a lot of personal branding stuff. And if anyone can kind of just like kick in on where the top of funnel is coming from, I'd just love to learn more.
I mean, mine was pretty random, to be honest. So I'm a volunteer paramedic in Austria. We have mandatory military service, and I was a paramedic in the military, and I'm continuing doing that as a voluntary basis. And the second guy on a paramedic car, he works for that company and he's an engineer there. And he was like, hey, you're starting to play around with AI stuff. Is this and that a use case? And that's how we started. So it was a very unusual funnel, I would say. Like it's between two paramedics on duty. So
very organic.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
I sort of took the approach where I wanted to build something first for people to show we had like skin in the game to begin with. So I started on this whole journey by building an AI and SaaS tools directory first, and then so that was my free thing for clients to try. Whilst we were building that out, then we started building on Bobby, And then Bobby became the thing that we also could offer a free trial on. But it's like, so I can have that conversation with my clients at various stages of the funnel. So if they're really completely new to AI, I can just say, well, here's a whole resource that you can go and play with. But if you actually want a product to play with now, here's one for you.
And did you actually build out a full directory, or was it just like a Google Sheets?
Yeah, no, I built out a whole directory, appsandwebsites.com. I'll share it in the chat.
So for everyone else,
there's about 500 tools on there at the moment.
For everyone else, you don't need to build out a full directory. My best free value opt-in of all time is my top 100 resources database, which is a Google Sheet of just like, here's the website name, here's the website URL, here's a little note on what it does, and maybe like, you know, my rating or when I added it or something like that. Like that as a free value opt-in is incredibly powerful. And I've realized over the years, it's because people can take action on it instantly. You don't need to like watch something or read something. You can just kind of scroll through it and skim to find like, oh, that's interesting to me, or something. Like the value that you get from it is almost immediate to where it works really well. Have you tried any other variations of that? Or has anybody else tried any, has anybody else had successful free value opt-ins? I can show some other examples.
We're just getting started right now. So that's the, we've got a couple of, well, obviously we got our first client from essentially building the bot for them and then showing it to them. So we just finished our webinar, and we're going to go through and we're doing some mailings. We're going to try and see who we think is the hottest and pursue those one by one, showing them, taking the same approach. Out of that, even after 10 minutes after the webinar, we did have one question that came through, which is really great because the person's engaging. So that's a use case I want to cover with you guys as well.
Awesome. So hopefully this kind of illustrates this a little bit better. And I've been trying to illustrate this manually for a long time, but if this is what we're selling, we're not actually making content about what it is that we're selling. We're going to be making content about what somebody might be interested in, who is our customer. And that could be any of these, you know, these things that captures their information to then sell them or upsell them on this product or service. So I was trying to come up with like, you know, pretty general, generic, you know, examples of, you know, the AI related kind of topics that might capture a business owner's attention or stuff like that. But we'll go into more of this on Thursday. The most important piece of this, I think, is to start building your list. So however you're doing that, and regardless of whatever channel, you always want to make sure that you're actively trying to capture people's email addresses at minimum, phone numbers at maximum, probably, depending on, you know, how kind of crazy you want to go. But that's one of the, it's like, it's almost, I forget the term. It's like a downturn deterrent. Like if you have a list of emails, you could just send an email to a list and you get action started right away. It's one of the things that I wish I had started earlier. It's like one of those things, you know, when's the best time to build a tree or plant a tree? It's today.
I think isn't it the best time to plant a tree is 10 years ago. The second best time is today.
That's it. That's the right one. Yeah. Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't think so.
Any other good sales topics anybody wants to bring up? If not, I think we're gonna end it here. And
I have one quick use case. I have 4 sales. If you just
sit with for sure.
This was the question that came in, and I did an experiment. I just don't know what experience anybody else has had. I put in a document, and the use case was find the most up-to-date information. That was find the most up-to-date information. So I put in 2 documents with different dates in them. I put dates in them with different information answering the same question. I did get when I replaced the old one with a new one, I did get the correct answer. I didn't know if anybody has thought about that, but this came out of, it really started being reinforced by this person who said, well, one of our challenges is making sure that the information is up to date. And, you know, and so that leads to a couple of things. Either can we figure out a way to make sure that we get the most up-to-date information, or how we encourage that? That's I'm not asking anybody to answer this question, but this is the big question and then in some cases I see AIs that say, well, I'll tell you where I got the information. Also pretty good. So, you know,
Yep.
and those are two things that I think I can't, this one question just came to me. I said, a lot of people have that concern, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure.
That's bringing that up.
Yeah, and there's 2 items on our roadmap. We're kind of, there's a bit of a backlog kind of building right now as we work on streaming. That's been one of the biggest things that we've been focused on to optimize the entirety of the platform. Once that big chunk kind of is done, we're going to be able to chop up a lot of these smaller things on the roadmap. Both 2 of them being dynamic website document updating. So basically, like, you can set, I want it to rescrape this web page every hour, every day, every week, every month. And then that would automatically update the knowledge base based off of whatever, it's still whatever is on the website. We can't control that, obviously, but it's just
Absolutely.
on a time slot. And then what was the second one you mentioned?
The second one is just making sure it's got the most up-to-date document. So if there's 2
document recall, I believe was it. So we have a ticket open for sources, document source as well. So there will be an option. It'll be similar to the debugging mode, to where whatever that snippet of text is coming from the search in the knowledge base, we will find the document or the website URL or whatever that text is coming from, and then be able to provide that resource as a link, a hyperlink, or something that you could easily like see.
That's incredibly cool.
And at first, this will be a admin, like a debug mode thing only. So this will be like for us as agencies. Once we figure out how this works for us internally, then we can start working on customer facing this.
So let me give you the middle case, and it not because you have to do it, but it's too good to pass up. This is one of those things that I know if I did it in a demo, like, person would be sold. I just know it. That is, I post a price list in a document, and then somebody posts a new price list, and and the most recent one, and you show them that, and then you show them that it picked the most recent one. Even if we have to structure that, and I'm still going to work to see if I can find ways to make sure I can more or less reliably do that. That's one of those ones where you're like, that's a slam dunk in a demo. For people who are worried about this, because that's the classic thing. And there was a big lawsuit in Canada, and I don't know that Air Canada, who's got sued, is using this. You may hear this story because it's in the news, and I'm one of the bastards because I'm also a podcaster. But they sued the national airline in Canada because their chatbot had given the person a wrong answer on a policy.
I saw that.
Maintained that they had to enforce that. First of all, I don't think that Air Canada was using an AI chatbot. I don't believe that, because their stuff is so old. I can't believe that they suddenly got generative AI fast enough to do that. I think somebody didn't update something. But that's going to be something, that story will get told over and over again. And
similar to the Chevy example where they gave a quote for a car for like $1, and then they were like, "Oh, you got to honor this. You got to honor this quote." I think that's where we come in as agencies to help start providing these guardrails of like, here's what's actually possible by setting that precedent of like, look, when we upload the documents, this is the pricing that's going to be, given. Like, if you have new pricing, we need to upload that new pricing, or we need to, implement that feature that dynamically imports new pricing.
Yeah. Anyway, like I said, these are things, this stuff is going to come up. There's always going to be those questions, but I just thought this is a real slam dunk moment. Hey, your last month's price list, posted this month's price list. See, it's up to date. That's the one I want to do. Demo.
Yep. It's an extension of that personalized demo, basically.
Yeah. Because that one's going to go, wow, you can do that. And there's a couple of, like, these are just, I've done demos all my life. Like, there's just ones where you just know, the white guys can jump. You can slam that one in.
Yeah. And I think for everyone else, it's really keen to understand that, like, the pivotal thing that we're kind of all talking about here is the personalized demo. And internally, we've been talking about how we continue to build features out that will help you guys do this process even faster. So one of those things that is coming down the pipeline will be personalized demos inside sub-account creation. So think when somebody signs up for a new sub account underneath your white label, there will be a process that you could enable that will allow them to enter in a website URL, and it will scrape that website page. It will then create a demo bot. It then places that demo bot inside their sub account. So that way, within that first 10 seconds of interacting with your platform, if they're interacting with a personalized demo bot for a free trial on your white label account based off of all their custom data. So that way, that initial first message could be on their data, not on anything that's templated. And this is where we're headed to. We just implemented default bots last week, which allows you to create a template bot and put that into their sub account. And that's what we have available right now today. You could do that right now. But where we're headed is, how do we keep that personalization going? So the idea is, like, if you're an agency and you're niched down to a specific industry, that default bot that you place into every new sub account theoretically should be a variation of kind of the same. If you're only focused on concrete clients, for example, that default bot could be based off of concrete, but every concrete company, or there might be a contractor in there or a real estate agent, and that's how we're going to start allowing the stuff to be customized a little bit further, faster, sooner.
Can I just ask one more thing? And maybe because you've been in this conversation longer than I have, I just joined a couple of weeks ago, but is anybody interested in talking about pricing? And I understand we're all competitors, or potentially, I don't think we are. In many cases, we're probably different areas, but I'd really like to get a discussion about pricing, about how we do this. Because like I said, I'm pretty big into the custom stuff, and that's easy. Like, that's hours of service. The cost of the bot is minimal to me. But if we actually start reselling it, what are the pricing points that we think we can get out of this to build a decent business plan out of that? That would be something I'd be interested in having a conversation. I put my email up there if people want to talk to me, or I'll be on the Discord if people want to have a chat about it, just to kick ideas around. I'm still grappling with what to price this at if we weren't providing services.
So Jim, I'll send you a private message. I'm open to discuss that, since I'm in Austria anyway, so we definitely won't interfere with customers.
Yeah, no, we won't. But I'll share what my logic is with you as well too, and anybody else wants to, because I think it's and like I said, if there's stuff that comes in, we can also collaborate in some cases. If there's stuff that comes in, I'd rather give it to somebody in that local geo than try and take them here, because you can develop a customer. So I'm perfectly willing to collaborate.
Let's kick off a conversation of that in the agency chat in Discord, and then that way we can all participate.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I definitely would like to participate in that discussion.
Cool. Well, yeah, we definitely, and we'll have some sales mastery pop in there as well to help come up with some ideas for pricing as well. So cool. Well, thanks everyone for joining. I'll see everybody on Thursday.
See you guys on Thursday. Have a great night.
Talk to you later.
Cool. Thanks, guys. See ya.